Looks like we're going to have Beastyqt on the left side of the map playing as the Mongols in blue, and on the right side is Mr. HuT playing as the red with the English. So no Rus on this map. How do you feel about that? You have another 1v1 to play, so there's a chance that the players just want to save that Rus for their teammate, or it's possible we're going to see it used on a completely different map. What do you think?
I think Rus is you can get the best out of Rus on this map. So I don't see a reason for our players not to pick Rus here. Yes, they might save it for another map, but a win is a win. You will eventually have to play it.
That is totally true. And one of the things I was considering is that you have Mongols being picked here by Beastyqt. So what if HuT was thinking, okay, I know my opponent is going to pick Mongols in here, and we have seen how efficient Mongols can be against the Rus in here. So I'm just going to make him use up his Mongols, and I'm going to go with my teammate having Rus when they no longer have Mongols available.
That could be a viable plan, but as I said, your plan is to use the best sieves on the best maps. At least that's my opinion. So if you have a Rus map that is like Rus can perform the best there, you should play Rus there. Just aim for the wins, and they will pile up faster than they would.
Looks like we're gonna have a standard opening here from HuT, just free on gold. Whereas on the other side, we have two villagers sent out to gold here for Beastyqt. Having that town center close to that wood line is nice. Looking at this Khan, he's only being trailed by 3 sheep though, so not a huge amount of food to work with for him. Other side, also pretty underwhelming sheep count for Mr. HuT. Looks like the wolves will actually be an annoyance over here, because with every other civilization that's not Rus, it's just annoying to bump into all those wolves that keep pursuing all your units around. With the Rus, you're very happy to find some wolves. Not so much with any other civilizations, really.
Yeah. And that is one of the main reasons that you want Rus here. Like, you have all these places to put the cabins, and in this map, you get more wolf spawns than usual. So you actually have more bounty that you can get, and more free gold.
Looks like we're gonna have the council hall coming in here. 3 villagers on it for Mr. HuT. So Mongols versus English. This is a pretty difficult matchup for the English because they want to produce their longbowmen, and those will be slightly better than the archers. However, the archers can just flood you so easily with the Mongols. The newly buffed horseman could also be something that Beastyqt could use over here. So, do you agree on the statement that the Mongols should have a bit more flexibility over here over the English?
Yeah, basically the Mongols, they can do pretty much everything, and that's why they're so good. You can do so many openings and so many transitions depending on what you scout, that you can perfectly react to pretty much everything, and that's why they're so good. And oh my god, the gun.
That's a little sloppy over here from Beastyqt, very sloppy in fact, because not only does he lose the Khan, he could lose 3 sheep over there. You see, he's sending them back home very slowly, so at least his opponent can't take it. But at the end of the day, those sheep will probably fall into the hands of HuT. Losing the Khan hurts, but losing the 3 sheep hurts just as much.
Plus the ability to go and look for more sheep. They still haven't scouted them up properly.
Looks
And
like
actually, the English player HuT opened with 2 scouts. Just noticed it.
it makes some sense to open with an additional scout for the English here against the Mongols, potentially, because you never know if Beastie is just going to go for a Dark Age stable for a couple of scouts to harass your gold. Looks like Beastie is going to have double scouts coming in here for him. Probably just to ferry in deer, I do believe. He's got a Gur out, so he can get that professional scouts upgrade in immediately. Goes for a defensive tower on the gold, as HuT is coming in to harass that gold mine for a brief moment.
And this is something that we don't see very often. Look at HuT's base. What is this? Is this a stable?
Ooh. It is scouts coming in. Now that spices things up quite a bit. He's up against quite a lot of scouts, and he probably needs mobility to track them down, or he wants to ferry in deer himself, because he's got a mill, and there indeed it is.
This is the first time I see this with English.
Ooh, such a difficult scenario, because from one end, it's a big investment. On the other side, it could pay off quite easily, because first of all, you are getting a lot of hunt for yourself. Second, you are denying some hunt from the Mongols player, and since it's likely going to be Archer Wars at some point, having those scouts out there that will be a good meat shield also helps.
Yes. I think making a stable as English and getting professional scouts, it has to do more about not letting your opponent take the food rather than you taking it.
Yep, currently sitting at 5 scouts here for Beastie, and for HuT it is 4. Remember that HuT has to spend 60 food for every scout he makes, whereas on the other side, his opponent has to spend 60 food per 2 scout, and of course some stone. But food efficiency-wise, the scouts play is more viable for Beastie at the beginning.
Way more efficient because it doesn't really hurt the eco. Now let's not forget that HuT got made the scout at the start of the game as well, so that affected his eco slightly.
Indeed, he's sending out longbows to the left side though to control those huntables, and that might prevent Beastie from taking those. That's a smart idea. Khan coming in though to harass the gold mine. That's just one of the most annoying things that you could face. That one Khan even popping that attack speed arrow just to harass that gold mine.
Yes, Khan is really annoying unit, and I would be strongly for a nerf against villagers. Because he's doing, especially in Castle Age, like you can just leave the Khan on top of resources and he will kill so many villagers so fast.
The gold miners are back, but you see that Beastie just waiting for another opportunity. HuT bringing in the first batch of huntables. I still feel like Beastie has to be satisfied with the situation because he might be able to pick up some of the carcasses from HuT's side, and then he still has his own huntables to take.
And look at Beastie's economy. He's already halfway to Castle Age.
That is just brutal. You don't really need to invest a lot of resources into those scouts at the beginning for him. He can make them on the stable, so he doesn't need to sacrifice villager production in Dark Age like HuT had to. HuT had to make a scout in Dark Age, so that's -1 villager. And in general, just the fact that the eco of Beastie was never pushed.
I'm really curious on how HuT is going to approach this matchup, because I don't think he's going to put pressure in the feudal age, because I know that he knows that by the time he starts putting pressure, his opponent will be Castle Age, and with men at arms or knights, he will shut it down. So I really want to see how he's going to play this. Is it going to be a semi-fast castle with like a second town center on the landmark?
It's likely going to be a second town center landmark because that's probably the most cost-efficient or resource-efficient way to acquire a second town center. There's not really a major point at going for stone and then chopping wood, make a second town center when you can just use the King's Palace. We do have HuT coming in with a lot of eco upgrades, by the way. Not only did he get professional scouts, he also got villager hunting, so the survival techniques upgrade, and he's grabbing wheelbarrows, so he's gonna have a pretty powerful economy here in Feudal Age, but the emphasis is on the word Feudal Age.
Yes, and also our emphasis is on the amount of villagers that he has on wood. That tells me rams. That points me towards rams.
It's a possibility, though we don't have a blacksmith just yet, so it will need some time for HuT to start getting those rams out. Beastie has to be careful with that Khan, because that's gonna eat a lot of damage, and the Khan going down just before Castle Age hurts pretty badly, because that's the time where you want to start really boosting your units. Like, starting to take fights with either men-at-arms or lancers. Losing that Khan is gonna hurt quite badly.
There is a blacksmith, by the way, and he's actually getting the +1 damage on his archers.
Oh, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, the step Redoubt that is going to get harassed. Quite a few villagers will go down over here as they are scrambling to get it up. Most longbows might go down, but the value is definitely there here for HuT.
Yeah, so much damage, so many villagers died. And it's actually 34 villagers for HuT and 27 for Beastie.
That's a lot of villagers down. It's one of those situations where you have to get that building up simply because you just invested a lot of resources into Castle Age. You must get it up. But at what cost did he get those up? He's getting double Lancers out, but he just lost so much economy right now, moving the Tear Stones or the Step Reduct close to the gold mine over here, as he's still ferrying in some deer, but he won't have amazing Lancer numbers simply because he doesn't have the economy for this.
And I love how HuT decides to wall the right side of his base, plus the small part on the back of his wood line, and he knows that he has done damage. So now what he has to do is get into the castle age and get that TC landmark up and go even further ahead.
Absolutely. Because if you think about it, you already have an advantage with the villager count. It's actually a pretty considerable advantage. And the second town center just makes that even bigger. And last but not least, it's also the English farming eco in the long run. When we start running out of berries, hunt, and sheep, it will be farming, and that's way better for the English than the pastures will be for the Mongols. Alternatively, if HuT is really scared, I can see him going for the White Tower. Because there's a chance that you see men-at-arms and springalds or rams from the Mongols, and the White Tower could help holding that off, and you still have an advantage in villagers because you killed so many.
Yes. That's why I think he should have sent like one solo longbowman to scout the OVO. I think it would be really important. If he spotted the blacksmith on the OVO, it would mean that his opponent is going for those proxy siege weapons.
Looks like there won't be siege weapons here coming in from Beastie. Instead, he takes a different approach. That's an early prayer tent, getting some shamans out, and those will allow him to capture sacred sites, pick up relics, and that might force HuT out of his base. HuT can't just sit back and chill, because then Beastie takes the sacred sites.
Yep, and from what I've seen recently from Beastyqt's playstyle, he likes to go for the sacred sites and force his opponent to attack him in a favorable position.
Looks like it's just a full mass of longbowmen as the King's Palace is coming in. Multiple barracks are being added as well, so it's probably a combination of spears and archers here, because man-at-arms archers would feel a little weird against lancers. Oh, look at that. The Khan once again shooting over those trees. That's just so annoying over here for HuT. But he isn't really losing villagers, and that's the most important thing, as I do see the shamans picking up some relics somewhere. I heard the sound. There's one scout coming forward by HuT, so as you said, he needs to see what his opponent is up to, because that determines his own game plan.
There's only something that I don't like from what HuT is doing. Is the way he placed his houses in between his town centers. Because right now, his food is running out. He will have to transition into farms. And there is no space to place those farms in a safe position.
Looks like the scout does go down. There is a blacksmith out here, but that's actually not within the range of the OVU right now, so only standard technologies are coming in. No improved siege engineering. Currently 38 villagers for Beastie. HuT is at 46, and the difference is growing. The big question is, will Beastie get relics that will compensate for that villager deficit? Because if he does, then it doesn't matter that he's behind in villagers if he has 5 relics and potentially some sacred sites.
It's gonna be tough for Beastyqt in order to uh, fill in the gap in the eco-wise. He needs to get the relics, and he also needs to get the sacred sites. Now, let's not forget that Beastyqt has access to the step readout, which gives a 50% drop-off on his villagers. So those 13 villagers are actually working as if they were 16, 17. So that's an eco bonus that most people don't take into consideration.
It is a massive eco bonus, in fact. And now you got multiple shamans bringing in the relics. You already have one, and there's two more coming in. Plus the sacred sites. That's gonna be a lot of gold income. So soon, HuT will have to move out. It looks like he's moving out the right side, towering those berries. This is seen by Beastie, though, so he can send some lancers that way. I love how Beastie's hiding his leftover scouts for vision.
It would be so good if Beastyqt made a siege workshop and made some mangonels next to the sacred sites while hiding them, because he knows that his opponent has a big mass ball of units, spearman and longbowman. So if he's able to hide a few mangonels, like 2 or 3, and use them just for the fight, then I think he will have really good chances of winning the whole game just by that fight.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Just sort of ambush those longbows. You have two mangonel shots and you pretty much win the game against the full infantry army here. Looks like the lancers are trying to break in, and the villagers apparently are opening up the gate to repair it. A couple of villagers go down to lancers. And now, HuT is sort of facing a dilemma. He starts pushing forward, but that leaves the back of his base wide open for raiding.
Beastyqt is sitting down with 1,700 gold in the bank.
He's got 1200 gold per minute income. We're talking about those villagers working with the step redoubt, 4 relics, 1 sacred site. Obviously, that's a massive amount of gold income. The lancers do break into HuT space here. Villagers will have to garrison into the TCs, but there's nothing that really kills the lancers here.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. There's gonna be a slaughter of villages.
It is a slaughter of villagers, and now I feel like HuT's got one chance. He needs to actually start killing the base of his opponent here, because his own eco is going to collapse. 47 villagers for Beastie, HuT is down to 43, and HuT was on 2 TCs for some time.
Rams are going to be coming soon as well. He just finished the upgrade. HuT. But I think right now HuT is in HuT's situation is like a ticking bomb. He needs to do something with his army, or else he's gonna fall so far behind eco-wise.
And he's trying to do something with that army, but it's very difficult when that town center is protecting the wood line out here. The step redoubt is more exposed though, and should HuT find it, he could do a lot of damage. He scouted that area of the map, so he should know that the gold mine is there, and now this could be a problem for Beastie, because those spearmen can take down those towers rather easily.
HuT has 1 villager working right now. All of his 44 villagers were idle.
Oh, holy potatoes, that's just a disaster of an economy. Now, if 10 villagers go down over here from Beastie, that's going to hurt, and the lancers are only halfway through the map here to help out. Looks like Beastie's making a run for it, but most of those villagers will go down to longbows. Reinforcements are coming from behind though, and there's the mangonel you were talking about. You just need one good shot, and this game is over. Mangonel setting up, getting a shot on the spearman. That's a perfect shot out there, as the lancers are about to charge in. Another mangonel shot could come in. Longbows spreading out, but the spearmen are the one that eat the majority of the damage from the mangonel. But this allows the lancers to jump on the longbows. No palings deployed by HuT. Nice choke point, but he will still get surrounded by the lancers. And this might be a slaughter over here. HuT's army is about to disappear. Oh boy, that is looking very rough right now. Those spearmen all getting cleaned up by the rest of the lancers. And now Beastie is at 28 army. His opponent is only at 16. Not really impressive right now for HuT, especially if you consider the far right of the map. Look at that. HuT knows exactly that there's 20 villagers on the right side.
And those lancers are coming. And a lot of the villagers are also low in HP.
Oh, that's a slaughter now. I feel like now the problem for HuT is that he needs a big mass of spearmen and longbows to make this work, and it just takes so much time to rebuild it. In the end, HuT taps out, and the Beastie takes game number 1 with the Mongols. Probably the better civilization out here, but it was a very convincing gameplay as well from Beastie.
Yes, and it all came down to the food transition. There was 2 key moments that made HuT to lose this game. First, the way he built his base, it didn't allow him for a smooth farming transition. And he, from what I saw, he wasn't aiming for it. He was aiming for a timing push. And secondly, the lancers that went inside of his base. Those two things lost the HuT, lost the